If you're tired of getting short story rejections, it's time to get strategic. Let's find the perfect home for your stories. I love short story writing and I plan to make this a series, so if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss when that series comes out. It's no secret that writing short stories can help you improve your craft and also help build your reputation as a writer. But what's even better is if you can get those short stories published. Now, the short fiction landscape is a little bit all over the place right now. You have a ton of magazines and journals, both paid and unpaid, online, in print, and you have an insane amount of writers submitting to these magazines. Literary magazines normally get thousands of submissions every year, and they accept between 0.5 and 2.5% of those submissions. Now, the statistic is not meant to discourage you, it's to tell you how important it is to be strategic about where you're submitting your short stories. I have 4 steps for you to be more strategic about where you're submitting. Step number 1 is to determine your primary goal with publishing. So there could be a lot of different reasons why you're motivated to get these short stories published, but normally we go in with one primary goal. I've identified 4 as the most common that I see. Number 1 is portfolio building. This is mostly with the intention of getting your numbers up so that you have a wide range of things published. This means you're going to be targeting less competitive magazines, sometimes smaller magazines, and also you might be spending less time on each individual story that you're writing. And another good tip here is themed anthologies or journals are good places to look as well, because you can be super targeted with that specific theme and have a greater likelihood of getting into those specific calls for submission. The second reason I see writers motivated to get short stories published is for prestige. So we have a lot of literary journals out there that are very well known and have a lot of readers. And if you are published in this magazine, it means something in the writing community. So here you're going to be submitting to very competitive journals like the New Yorker. You're likely going to be doing a lot of research on that specific journal, and you're going to be spending a ton of time on that one story, making sure it's super polished and doing a lot of rewrites as well. The third goal is gaining readers. Here you're going to be looking for journals with a wide audience, but also journals with potentially a very good social media presence. There might be elements to certain journals that might not be super competitive that makes it a really feasible way to gain a lot of readers. For example, online journals are really helpful for getting these readers. Free journals, so anything that people can read your stories for free, which means you're likely not going to get paid, but you're going to be able to gain those readers from those types of different journals. The fourth goal is monetization. While you're not going to get rich from publishing your short stories, you can make a little bit of money on the side from publishing them, and you're going to be looking for journals, of course, that pay a rate to their writers, but you could also look out for contests, which most of the time the prizes for these can be pretty good. Let me know in the comments, what's your current goal with publishing short stories? Step 2 is to narrow the pool. So there are so many magazines and journals out there to choose from, which is really encouraging, right? You have a lot of options, but we have to find some way to narrow down this pool. And the way we do that is taking the goal that you've identified and narrowing down what types of journals you're going to be targeting. Competitive versus non-competitive, how large they are, their social media presence, the type of community that they have around these journals. Those are the elements that you're going to be looking for and the criteria that you make when you go to search for what is a good fit. There are 2 really great resources, which I will have linked in the description below. Chill Subs and Submission Grinder are 2 places. They're like databases that have a bunch of different journals, and you can narrow down based on your criteria. So check those out to be able to help you discover what's out there. Step 3, research the journals. So once you have a narrow pool, you're actually going to do a lot of research into these journals. The first way to do that is by actually reading the journal. It's super important that you read at least a few stories from where you're planning to submit, because you'll get a feel for the type of stories that they like to publish. If you see a lot of first-person stories that's not really in your style, and you write third person and it's totally not the same vibe, then you know that that journal is not going to be a great fit. You'll also want to get super clear on their submission guidelines. So each of these journals will have a page on their website that tells exactly what they're looking for in terms of style, word count, those kind of more technical requirements, but also look out for things they don't like to see. A lot of journals in speculative fiction ask for no zombies, no vampires, like things that they've seen over and over again that they're not looking for anymore. So be very clear about those requirements and make sure that your story fits that. And a final tip in this research phase would be to find out who the editor is of that journal and learn about them. Look up interviews, if there's any sort of blog articles, and find what they really like to see in a story. So some people might really be gravitating towards theme, or some people might love getting deep into a character's perspective. We want to know these things about the editor so that we can, again, really target our submissions. Step 4, write with those journals specifically in mind. You may already have a pool of short stories that you want to submit, so you can navigate those and try to pick the best ones that fit those journals, but you may have to do some editing of that story to make it really fit what they're looking for. But an even better approach I've found is you pick the journal first and then you write the story. This can make sure that you're really targeted and have a better chance of getting your short story actually accepted by these magazines. Now, all of this can be really helpful when you're going to submit, but of course, at the foundation, you have to have a good story. So in the description, I have my guide to the most common mistakes writers make when writing short stories. Go ahead and check that out. If you found this video helpful, I would love if you could like it, and thank you for watching. Happy writing.